We had a visitor here, and he said, "What can you tell me about Ozempic?" And he said, and I said, "Well, what is it?" And he said, "It's a medicine that about half of the Pakistanis are on." He said, and so the rich ones. And so I thought I might say a word about Ozempic. What goes around comes around. And so Sheikh Abdurrahman, it's a drug that is more serious than it looks. And so this is, I call this piece telling up from down. And this is, and so Ozempic, there's a natural hormone released in the gut after eating, and it's called GLP-1, glucagon-like peptide number 1. It's a natural hormone released in the gut after eating. It helps to regulate blood sugar by stimulating insulin and suppressing glucagon. Glucagon is that which takes fat and burns it for energy. And suppressing glucagon and slowing gastric emptying and sending satiety, I'm full, signals to the brain. A GLP-1 agonist is a drug that mimics this hormone's effects, binding the same receptors and amplifying its appetite-suppressing and glucose-controlling functions. Ozempic, which the generic name for it is Semaglutide, is one such GLP-1 receptor agonist, originally developed to help people with type 2 diabetes manage blood sugar levels. Type 2 diabetes is that which happens in old age because of dietary remissness and other things. In recent years, however, it has become a household name for a different reason: rapid weight loss. By curbing hunger and slowing digestion, the drug has been hailed as a near miracle solution for shedding pounds. Demand has surged far beyond the diabetic population it was intended to serve, driven by celebrity endorsements. They had a famous Muslim comedian on Saturday Night Live doing a skit. It was so facetious, ironic and humorous, but nevertheless, it got it in front of the Muslim eyes because lots of Muslims apparently watched that program. And so it was a skit about a father that was concerned because it was a drag being hungry during Ramadan. And so take some pills and you'd feel non-hungry. Driven by celebrity endorsements, social media trends, and a current obsession with thinness. Okay, this is a drug you don't want to take, Rasif, running with a cultural obsession. Yeah, I shouldn't abuse him. He's our Indian Murid of the year. Inshallah, tawfiq wa taysir lana wa lahu, inshallah. Yet beneath the excitement lies a more sobering truth. Ozempic is a potent drug developed through the often myopic, nearsighted, and reductionist lenses of modern pharmaceutics. It is not a lifestyle accessory, and its off-label popularity deserves far more scrutiny than it currently receives. In some places, apparently, it's over-the-counter. It's an over-the-counter drug. You can just buy it, go down and buy it, and get busy on your weight loss. How it works. Ozempic semaglutide mimics the hormone GLP-1, suppressing appetite and slowing stomach emptying. This helps people feel full longer, leading to reduced food intake, weight loss, and improved blood sugar control. Hence its reputation as a breakthrough for obesity. Yet the question remains, is obesity just overeating or also malnourishment? This is an important point that most people don't realize. That some people, they can't lose weight for love or money because, they're fat, and the body just won't give up the fat and burn the fat when they need to burn something. And the reason is that there are two barometers. There's a barometer for calories, and you get hungry when you don't have enough calories. And there's also a barometer for nutrients. And it may be that a person's obesity is due because they're eating food and eating food and eating food, but they're not getting the nutrients that they need. And so the body panics, doesn't have the nutrients it wants. There are certain things that must be there and cannot not be there. And you better give your body those, it's found in vegetable foods, some of them in animal foods, some of them, and so forth. And so the body kind of panics and it just doesn't want to give up that fat. It says, I've got to store it up for a day, because we're already nutrient starved. And so so it's very hard for those people. And so what can they do? They can go to a holistic practitioner and figure out where the hitch is. Why can't they lose weight like other people can? Why don't they burn fat when they cut down the calories? And what sort of nutrients should they have in order to be able to lose weight? So the question remains, is obesity just overeating or also malnourishment? In 60% of the cases, at least, we can say there's a factor why they find it so tough to, they diet and they still don't get the results they want, or they can't keep it off. And or also malnourishment, and this is the fact. If essential nutrients are lacking, which forces the body to hold on to fat, curbing appetite may worsen deficiencies, weaken detoxification, repair, and immunity. Digestive disruption. By delaying stomach emptying, Ozempic causes gastroparesis, stomach paralysis, or milder digestive issues. Food stagnation disrupts enzyme and bile timing, reduces nutrient absorption, and promotes fermentation and bacterial overgrowth, leading to gut dysbiosis. In other words, there's about roughly 30,000 species, but in the gut that have roles to play. And so when you give these fake signals to it, bile is what digests fat. It's in your food. And so that enzymes and the various enzymes of the body chime in at the right times. If you're eating as regular people eat. And so when there's food stagnation, because many people, especially if they're eating things that people like to eat, like meat, the human being was a carnivore from his origin. And we have a much shorter large intestine length than we have the ones fit for carnivores, not fit for for grazing animals or something like this that only eat plants. And so the reason for this is that these animal foods tend to get rotten much faster than vegetable foods do in the gut. And so the body passes them out, and there's a continuous passing through the GI, the gastrointestinal tract, and it has to be like that. Stop it, stop the music, and there are things that are very bad. Another thing is one of the big side effects, the famous side effects from Ozempic, is that it causes depression. And this is not a marvel or a wonder, but rather it's exactly what you would suppose would happen, because most of the big players in the brain's chemistry are produced by the gut microbiota, like 90% of this one and 80% of this one and 95% of that one. It's a very important thing to have there. And so the food stagnation disrupts enzyme and bile timing and reduces nutrient absorption. So the reigning powers in the GI tract can't do what they're supposed to do, which is absorb nutrients. And so with people, they're already compromised, that's why they're fat, is because they have nutrient deficiencies and the body's holding on to the fat, so it aggravates the condition. And it promotes fermentation and bacterial overgrowth of the wrong kinds of bacteria in the gut, leading to gut dysbiosis, which is a very serious thing. Dysbiosis means the wrong bacteria are down there and they're not doing the job. Gut microbiota and systemic effects. Healthy microbiota rely on a smooth nutrient flow. As we said, things got to be here today and gone tomorrow, going down the line in your gut. And disruption can lower microbial diversity, favor harmful organisms like candida, and fuel leaky gut, chronic inflammation, and immune dysfunction. Okay, leaky gut is it's when the interstices of the gut let big particles of food through to because they're undigested, the large particles of food directly into the bloodstream, which interprets them as invaders, and so you get autoimmune conditions. The main driver of all of these proliferation of autoimmune conditions in our time, there used to be about 8 known when I was a kid, or in the 1990s, we can say. and now there's about 108. And all is from eating junk food and so forth, and that compromises the gut wall and the intestine walls. They fuel leaky gut, chronic inflammation, and immune dysfunction, because gut health is tied to brain health, to say the least. Poor motility and constipation have been linked to cognitive decline. If a person can't go to the bathroom, what happens? It hits the brain, and constipation likewise. While improving bowel regularity and making it work like it should, is shown to enhance cognitive performance. Also, this really caught my eye, muscle loss with weight loss. Up to 40% of the weight loss on this drug, semaglutide, is lean muscle, a far greater proportion than typical dieting. And so what? You lose your muscle mass. And to lose your muscle mass is to lose your immune function. The more muscle mass that a person has of all quorums, all groups of age of peoples, the people with the greatest muscle mass are the people in the top 5% who die about 30% less than everybody else in that age quorum. And they have fewer complications from operations if they have surgical operations. There's less mortality and less morbidity. Morbidity meaning complications after procedures or severe challenges of health. And so they up to 40% of the weight lost and on this drug is lean muscle. That's a real something, a far greater proportion than typical dieting. This loss undermines strength, metabolism, long-term health, showing that not all weight loss is beneficial. And so, killing your friends, and so absolutely, anybody who's over 65 years of age, or over 60, or at any age, I would say, just can't tell up from down if he's taking this thing. It's stupid. So this undermines the strength, metabolism, long-term health, showing that not all weight loss is beneficial. And this is why the first and most overlooked issue is what kind of weight is being lost. Alongside fat, studies show that significant share of the pounds shed comes from muscle mass. Muscle isn't merely cosmetic. It underpins strength, mobility, metabolic stability. It means ability to handle or the proper insulin balance and glucagon. Metabolic stability and long-term resilience, particularly in aging populations. People that are up there, no, 1,000 times no. Losing it in the pursuit of quick weight loss risks leaving people biologically weaker, even if they appear slimmer. Equally concerning are Ozempic's impact on the gut microbiome, as we said before. To say that we are embryonic, not even babies, but less, in our understanding of the gut microbiome would be an understatement of grave proportions. We know even less than that. We almost know zero compared to what there is to know. I know. I believe that some miracles will be discovered. I think that there are microbiota in some people's systems that are able to turn one element on the periodic element of the table of atomic elements from one thing into another, something that you can't do with a huge atom smasher that takes up about a block of space. Anyway, would be an understatement of grave proportions. Out of the little we do know, the ecosystem of bacteria and microbes that constitute the gut microbiome is central to immunity, mood, and metabolic health. So all of these, absolutely, these are the main players in all of these. In metabolic health. By slowing gastric emptying and altering nutrient flow, semaglutide, Ozempic, reduces microbial diversity, and to an extent and duration we still have not fully grasped, weakening one of the body's most important defense systems. Add to this the established risks of pancreatitis. Pancreatitis is the precursor to pancreatic cancer. Pancreatic cancer is one of the as far as I know, the swiftest cancer killer of the whole game. it really rips right through the system. And people, when you're diagnosed with a pancreatic cancer, it's a very rude awakening. And that's a lot of it. Pancreatitis, gallbladder disease, gastrointestinal distress, and potential thyroid tumors. The picture becomes clear. The rush to embrace Ozempic as a silver bullet for weight management is not without heavy costs. Segue to the official Ozempic website. Under the section Important Safety Information, the company states, quoted here verbatim, "What is the most important information I should know about Ozempic? Ozempic may cause serious side effects, including possible thyroid tumors, including cancer. Patients are advised to tell their healthcare provider if they experience a lump or swelling in the neck, hoarseness, or trouble swallowing or shortness of breath, as these may be symptoms of thyroid cancer." The site notes that in studies with rodents, Ozempic and medicines that work like Ozempic cause thyroid tumors, including thyroid cancer in rodents. They're not so far down the line from us. They have the same sort of respiration and organs and so forth. It is not known if Ozempic will cause thyroid cancers or a type of thyroid cancer called medullary thyroid carcinoma, MTC, in people. The official site further lists other potential serious side effects of Ozempic, including inflammation of the pancreas, pancreatitis, which we've mentioned, changes in vision, low blood sugar, hypoglycemia, dehydration leading to kidney problems, severe stomach problems, serious allergic reactions, gallbladder problems. Gallbladder makes bile, and bile digests the fat that you eat. Food or liquid getting into the lungs during surgery and other procedures that use anesthesia or deep sleepiness, deep sedation. The site also mentions the most common side effects of Ozempic, which include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach, abdominal pain, and constipation. Neurochemical and emotional consequences. Ozempic disrupts the microbial diversity, as we saw earlier. It will have consequences on the mood and emotional well-being. This changes the way the gut and brain talk to each other and slows down how quickly food leaves the stomach. This makes people feel less hungry and less distracted by food cravings. While this can be very helpful for weight loss, there's the catch. Our brain's reward system doesn't work in neat, separate boxes. The same brain chemicals that affect food cravings also influence mood, motivation, and enjoyment of life. So when a drug reduces the pleasure you get from food, it can also reduce pleasure in other parts of life. Anhedonia, it's called. There's some people that can't enjoy anything because of the drugs they take and other reasons. That part is just shut off. And so they just sit there, They used to enjoy some things in life and now, all gone. So when a drug reduces the pleasure you get from food, it can often also reduce pleasure in other parts of life. Some patients and doctors report problems like irritability, feeling less motivated, and even depression, especially depression, and also wild starvation for nutrients. That when you quit taking the drug, the next week you just leap on all possible and impossible foods because the body is just crazy because it doesn't have the nutrients that it wants and needs. And so they, tend to gain it back. It's not something that really kind of works. And then you lose your weight and then walk away looking like Twiggy. She was a model in the 1960s. Anyway, but as the slim, ultimate cultural icon of slimness. And even depression. In some cases, this can ripple out into relationships and emotional health, leading people to seek psychiatric help. And so people are depressed, and so what to give them? SSRIs, which cause then the kharab is, then the ruin is really swift to hit. Nasallallahu alaihi wa tawfiq. So ultimately, Ozempic embodies the peril of reducing the human body to a set of mechanical levers that can be toggled in isolation. The body is not a machine of interchangeable parts, but a deeply interconnected system where muscle, metabolism, microbiome, and mind weave together in ways that we barely comprehend. To treat weight loss as a simple problem of suppressing appetite is to overlook the holistic nature of human health. As I said, there's not only a calorie barometer in you, there's a nutrient barometer. And when the nutrient barometer is down, you eat junk food, for example. Or my favorite food is a Coke and a hamburger and a McDonald's, as our incumbent said one time. Then there's you've overlooked the reason that a person may be obese, which is it's starving and the body is given the signal, lock onto it. Don't release that fat, no way, no how, even if they cut down on the calories. And so it aggravates, I know. And is to overlook the holistic nature of human health. Every single cell of the body is connected to the brain. This is number one, a fact that they didn't know until recently. And in chasing the illusion of quick fixes, we risk undermining the very resilience, strength that sustains us. And so this is why anybody that can tell up from down should give a miss to what's going around and not take this as a lot out of what topic. So when you give Ozempic a miss, unless you want thyroid cancer and pancreatic cancer, want to be depressed. And if you want all of those things, you're a very unique person, but this won't help you look better or feel better. That's the law of Afia with Tawfiq. And so it's better to be able to tell up from down and throw in the towel when you're only this far behind. So if you're having real trouble losing weight and you can't lose any weight, no way, no how, it may be another hidden problem within you about your nutrient absorption or the kind of food that you eat. And so what you want is a holistic practitioner that can guide you to the effects of foods on your system, and so that the body can get it, so it can get rid of the excess fat. And these are a good, I believe that the percentage is probably closer to about 60% of the people that are really obese this has something to do with it. The fact that diets don't really take the weight off for them. And so this pill is not the solution for you, but it's a way to wreck your health, big time. And health is funny. It doesn't always come back very well after it's been ruined. That's a lot of Tawfiq. Alhamdulillah. I'm not saying that it doesn't have any therapeutic applications. It may, but they're not intuitively obvious to someone like me. And absolutely, to give it to an old person, you just make them a sack of skin and bones. And they might not have the sense to quit. And that's our law, after our topic. Alhamdulillah. And what else did we learn? That the skeletal muscles, the muscles that are visible, are the largest endocrine gland in the body. They're the ones that have the most to do with hormones and how they're utilized and the timing and so forth and so forth. And all of the big immune players, the muscles have everything to do with mortality and morbidity, as we mentioned tangentially with the other one. Whether you survive, severe health challenges like an operation or something, and whether you live rather than die. In every age group, the most fit are the ones that have the least problems with their health. It shouldn't come as a big surprise to anybody, like somebody who's never got fit before. So get fit, and all the news that fits. Alhamdulillah. Also, I can guarantee everybody who trains twice a week, or whatever, 3 strength trains, a better brain. out of the deal. And that brain comes in handy, to say the least. And even in the dhikr, it has an effect, because then you can focus on, you don't get a mind that's wandering away from the Quran while you're reading it, but you have a mind that can stick with it and see what it's about, and is not bored by things that take focus for periods of time. This will all increase, and the number of your brain cells will increase also. Brain-derived neurotrophic factor, the hormone that enlarges the brain, makes more pathways so you can think better, find out things and retain them. All of this is augmented by exercise. Also, the gut biome is optimalized by regular exercise. And so how can you fix it up after ruining it with hamburgers and junk? You can skip them and get some exercise going, and the exercise itself will optimize, will perfect the balance in your stomach so it can do the things that it can. You'll feel emotional, you'll feel more optimistic about life, and you feel so forth and so forth. You have, in other words, normal fitri responses to things instead of being, a boo-hoo or something. Nas'alullah al-afiyah wa tawfiq. Anyway, the ounce of prevention for type 2 diabetes is better than a ton of cure. And the way you can not get type 2 diabetes is have 12-hour times when you don't eat anything every 24 hours in your life. And also fast 1 day a week. And if you get type 2 diabetes, after that, I'll always wonder why. That's the Lord after with Tawfiq. Fasting is it's the natural, sort of fitri, the way when the Quran spoke to the Arabs and told them that they'll have food in Jannah, bukratan wa ashiya, morning and night. They were saying, wow. Why? Because many families only had 1 meal a day. They thought, wow, that's what rich people do, is they have 2 meals a day. So this 3 meal a day stuff that we're on wasn't the usual course in the time of the Sahaba or the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sometimes the Prophet didn't have anything except water and a bit of dates for 3 days in a row. Nas'alullah al-afiyah wa tawfiq. Alhamdulillah. So count your blessings. Fatiha.